Tuesday, April 29th, Houston police, after a routine traffic stop for speeding and a subsequent car chase, shot in the back and killed Roland Carnaby, who had claimed to be a CIA agent. Randall Calliman, attorney for Carnaby's family, said the officer attacked Carnaby's vehicle, busting in a window with a nightstick and shooting Mr. Carnaby in the back, unarmed. Local news reported what appeared on a video to be an assassination as normal police work. Police have questioned Carnaby's credentials. One investigation which has followed is not by Houston authorities, but by investigative reporter Wayne Madsen. He now joins us by phone. Welcome, INN, once again, Wayne.
Good to be with you.
Wayne, what actually happened in the shooting?
Well, what happened was Roland Carnaby, also known as Tony, who was the head of the Association for Intelligence Officers, Houston chapter. They're people who are retired, former, and active members of the intelligence and law enforcement community. Was traveling in West Houston. The police gave chase. They stopped him. One policeman shot him in the back. They later said he was reaching for what they thought was a weapon. He was actually reaching for his BlackBerry. He had been on the phone to the FBI and to the Houston police. He had asked the FBI to contact the Houston police to have him call off this chase, and the FBI did so, and the Houston police refused the FBI's request.
When you went down there to investigate what appeared to be a murder, you opened up some other information, as we understand. Where did this lead to?
Well, it's very apparent. First of all, the Houston Chronicle and other major media reported that Carnaby may have been a fake. The Houston police said his credentials, which he had originally shown the police during the first stop, might have been faked, that he might have done them up on a desktop publishing system. That's all incorrect. Roland Carnaby was a retired member of the clandestine services of the CIA, having had worked clandestinely in Lebanon. He was a Lebanese American. He worked in Lebanon during the Lebanese Civil War in the 1980s. He had been in Laos in the early 1970s. He was not a fake. The Houston Chronicle tried to proffer that theory. He was well known in the CIA. He had visited the CIA on a number of occasions. He had hosted a number of CIA and FBI and other intelligence officials at AFIO meetings, which he chaired. And it was very apparent that Mr. Carnaby was aware of certain activities in the Houston area. He was very concerned about a potential terrorist attack on Memorial Day and the 4th of July weekend.
Suggesting here that Roland Carnaby was still active, was not retired, that he was still under some kind of a contract to the agency. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. After he had been retired, it's hard to say when these fellows who come out of the clandestine services retire. He'd been retired for about 18 months to 2 years. And in addition, not only had he been with the CIA, he was the chief of station for the CIA in the southeast region, which is headquartered in Houston.
Before we get into what he was looking into, we've had some criticism that if there was going to be an assassination or a hit on someone within the government, that it sure as heck wouldn't be with a high-speed police chase and an obvious tape shooting by Houston police, certainly under questionable circumstances in anybody's book. What is the reverse to that criticism?
He had in his possession a Macintosh laptop, several cell phones that were used to turn on and off video and camera equipment strategically placed around the Port of Houston. He was very concerned about the security of the Port of Houston. He got no cooperation from Homeland Security. From what I understand, somebody in the Houston Police Department put out an APB on Carnaby, gave his license plate, said he was armed and dangerous, and that's why these two traffic cops who originally stopped him gave chase. There were other police officers there in plain, in unmarked cars, but from the video shot by the news helicopters, it was clear that he was shot in the back, and another cop actually came around and shot him at point blank. They handcuffed him waited a while to call paramedics. He actually bled to death while he was handcuffed and laying on the street.
And what you're telling me is that there was an APB put out from within Houston Police, and that can be verified at this time, this later date, that pegged him as a dangerous person with basically orders to track down and possibly to shoot if there was any possibility that they thought he was armed or could do harm to them.
Right, but the record has been wiped clean by the Houston Police Department. U.S. Judge Keith Ellison, in response to a lawsuit by Carnaby's wife, issued a preservation order for all evidence that was gathered up by the HPD from his vehicle. The Houston Police Department violated the judge's order and has disposed of all evidence, including, they never claimed they had the Macintosh, but we know that the Secret Service originally had that and handed that Macintosh back to the HPD. So we have a police department that is actually disposing and getting rid of evidence against a federal judge's court order.
Nothing like good police work. Wayne, what was Roland Carnaby working on specifically? Do you know? Can you tell us?
Yes, he attended several meetings of the Counterterrorism Center, which is run by the FBI in Houston. This is part of the Joint Terrorism Task Force for the Greater Houston Metropolitan Region. He attended these meetings at what's known as a special compartmented information facility, SCIF, at the Johnson Space Center, which is south of Houston. He met with Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, Secret Service, immigration and customs enforcement officials on a regular basis. He was also very concerned about Mossad activities in Houston. One of the largest Mossad stations is in Houston, Texas. He dealt with them on a professional basis, but I understand from his friends when asked why he was working so closely with the Israeli intelligence, he said, "I keep my friends close and my enemies closer."
I believe Don Corleone said that also. Wayne, there's been a lot of talk on the Internet of perhaps an upcoming attack on Houston this 4th of July. Now, do you have any information that would suggest that this is not only a possibility but a likely target, and that it is something people should be on the watch for without being alarmist and without being conspiracy theorists? Is there any factual information that could lead us towards that?
Well, Carnaby and his colleagues were very concerned about the security of the Port of Houston. There's a lot of refineries up and down the Houston ship channel, all the way from Houston down to Galveston and Texas City. It's the largest foreign tonnage port for incoming cargo in the United States. It's a wide open, cargo has to come in and go. Carnaby wanted the human intelligence efforts increased. He didn't want to put physical security because that's really impossible for a complex like that. But the Homeland Security Department under Michael Chertoff, who he had no time for, I might add. He also had no time for Michael Hayden, the head of the CIA. He had real problems with these two individuals and their senior people. He was rebuffed at every turn when he tried to have human intelligence beefed up.
Do you think
he wasn't a rogue. He had a personal services contract with the CIA. He had been the chief of station. He had a contractual relationship with the CIA. He liaised with other federal agencies in the Houston area. So
there is some kind of a trail of this within the intelligence business. There's some kind of a trail of who he was and at least a peripheral view of what he'd done.
Absolutely. He also had a business card from a former CIA director, George Tenet, with his personal home phone number on the card.
Wayne, where do you think this is going to go? It doesn't seem like any justice is going to come to Roland Carnaby's family. What about the work he was doing? Is anyone taking over that? Do you think that the flag has been raised and people are keeping a close eye on this?
Well, the last information I got from Houston is that the FBI is now investigating this case. I don't know to what degree. I'm always suspicious about the FBI because they seem to be more interested in covering things up than investigating anything. I'm not talking about agents in the field. I'm talking about the higher-ups, just like the higher-ups in the CIA who Carnaby had trouble with. You know, Hayden and Mueller over at the FBI have been promoted, but they were both on duty at the helm on 9/11. They never were fired. They've just been promoted and kept in their present job.